Space Coconut.
Okay, today we're talking about Minthara, Merciless Soul. The idea behind this deck is to go wide with a slew of huge life-leaking tokens, making your opponents very unwilling to block them. Minthara is a 2/2 legendary elf cleric that costs 2 black-white with ward X, where X is the number of experience counters you have. At the beginning of your end step, if any permanent you controlled left the battlefield this turn, you get an experience counter. Creatures you control get +1/+0 for each experience counter you have. Since we want to get as many experience counters as possible, the core cards of the deck are anything with Proliferate in Orzhov colors. I'm writing this before Dominaria United, so there are probably some new Proliferate cards that are on the way that will make this commander even better than she's been so far, so I'll update this later with those new cards. For now, our only Proliferate cards are Grateful Apparition, Lae'zel Vlaakith's Champion, Contagion Clasp, Throne of Geth, Karn's Bastion, and Animation Module. Each of them give you another experience counter with the Proliferate ability. Animation Module doesn't have Proliferate exactly, same with Lae'zel Vlaakith's Champion, but both will give players more experience counters, so they have a place in this deck. Just having one of these cards on the field will make Minthara's ability get out of hand very quickly. But the biggest problem we have to solve with Minthara is being able to get an experience counter the same turn she enters the battlefield. This way, if she's removed early, your Proliferate cards will still be able to help you gain more experience counters while you find the right time to bring her back out. We do this with treasure makers and myriad creatures that cost 3 or less. Treasure tokens are sacrificed and myriad tokens are exiled, so if Minthara is on the field at the end of that turn, you get an experience counter in either case. Hammers of Moradin is a 3/3 for 2 and a white with Myriad. It also says whenever Hammers of Moradin attacks, for each opponent, tap up to 1 target creature that player controls. So you can swing with the main body at an empty board or one with a single creature, sending the tokens elsewhere, which will save the main body to attack again later. Jadar Ghoul Collar of Nephalia is a 1/1 that costs 1 and a black. At the beginning of your end step, if you don't have a decayed zombie, you make a decayed zombie. If that zombie attacks, you sacrifice it at the end of combat. Worm's Crossing Patrol is a 1/1 for 1 and a white who has Myriad. Zentarim Bandit is a 2/1 for 1 and a black that will create a treasure if you pay 1 life when it attacks. Skullport Merchant is a 1/4 for 2 and a black that will make a treasure when it enters the battlefield. You can also pay 1 and a black, sack a creature or treasure to draw a card. With all of the treasure tokens we make, this will trigger Minthara at the end step as well as give you a card. It's a pretty good deal. Horde Robber is a 1/3 for 1 and a black that makes a treasure when it deals combat damage. Noble's Purse is a 2-cost artifact that enters tapped with 3 coin counters on it. You can tap it to remove a coin and then make a treasure token. But if you have any of your Proliferate cards on the field, you can also add coin counters to this artifact so you can keep making treasure tokens. So now that Minthara will be able to make it to the field and make an experience counter on the same turn, we need to pump out our tokens. Adeline Resplendent Cathar will spit out humans tapped and attacking for each opponent whenever you attack with any creature. Adeline herself will have power equal to the number of creatures you control on top of Minthara's bonus. Elenda the Duskrose will get counters when creatures die, but Minthara's bonus makes that bigger automatically. So if you have 5 counters and drop Elenda, she is automatically a 6/1 creature. Proliferate on top of that will also make those counters multiply also. If she dies, then you get a slew of uncomfortably big life-linking vampire tokens. Keeper of the Accord will help a ramp if you're behind and spit out a few emergency tokens if you need them to block. Leonin War Leader is a 4/4 for 2 and 2 white that makes 2 1/1 cats with lifelink tapped and attacking that will get more troublesome as time goes on. Teysa Orzhov Scion is a 2/3 for 1 white black that will make flying spirits when a black creature you control dies, and you can sacrifice 3 white creatures to exile something else. Ophiomancer is okay for this deck. The Death Touch Snake is mainly a deterrent while you build your board state, but I really think I might replace this with something else. Ink Shield is amazing. For 3 white-black, you can trade a point of damage for a 2/1 flying Inkling. Late game, you can turn a loss into a win if you have enough experience counters and prevent enough damage to hit all 3 of your opponents with big damage. I have won this way once by preventing 10 damage and swinging in with everything while Minthara had 7 experience counters. It was a glorious win at over 120 damage split between 3 opponents. Mimic Vat is a 3-cost artifact with Imprint. Whenever a non-token creature dies, you can exile it. Then, you can pay 3 and tap it to create a token copy of the exiled creature, with haste that is exiled at the beginning of the next end step. Oketra's Monument is great to make creatures cheaper and spit out a few tokens when they come out. Bitter Blossom is great for making flying tokens, but the life loss here cost me a few games, which is why I went into a life gain strategy with my deck instead. Since we're working with experience counters, I went ahead and added Daxos the Returned. We're not running a lot of enchantments, but those spirits for 1 black-white can be very important under the right circumstances. And very big. My favorite addition here is the Wand of Orcus. It's an equipment for 2 and a black with an equip cost of 3. It says, whenever equipped creature attacks or blocks, it and zombies you control gain death touch until end of turn. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, create that many 2/2 zombies. So tokens don't normally get very big, but thanks to Minthara, any token you attach this to will essentially create X additional zombies equal to the experience counters you have thanks to Minthara. I am very excited to use this someday. Then of course, Anointed Procession, which will double all of the tokens you make. So with the tokens taken care of, that is essentially the core of the deck. From here, you can change your strategy however you like and utilize the remaining card slots to fit that strategy. Aristocrats is an easy option, or maybe a bunch of small evasive creatures that are difficult to deal with. Or maybe even support to make Minthara kind of a Voltron strategy. The remaining cards added to this core will simply define whatever strategy you pick. I went with life gain, so the rest of this tech will outline the additions I made to focus on that strategy. Aerial Responder, Fiend Slayer Paladin, Gisela the Broken Blade, Hazda Marshal, Lantern Scout, Lone Rider, Odric Lunarch Marshal, Resplendent Angel, Sanguine Spy, Sky Crier, and Witch of the Moors are creatures that either have lifelink, make lifelink tokens, or benefit from gaining life. Whip of Erebos, Noble Purpose, and Vault of the Archangel will give everything lifelink, while Teysa Karlov will just focus on your tokens, but give them vigilance at the same time. Even just one swing mid-game with any of these cards out can get you enough life to be unstoppable. Exquisite Blood can gain you quite a bit of life as well, but I'm not a fan of infinite combos, so Sanguine Bond isn't here. Gaining enough life and finding the Aetherflux Reservoir will make it very dangerous for your opponents, so of course that's here as well. Card draw is provided by Benny Brack's Zoologist, Rumor Gatherer, Shadowheart Dark Justicar, and Skullclamp for now, but there are plenty of options that can be added later if card draw becomes a problem. The rest of the cards in this deck fulfill different purposes. Archetype of Courage stops opponents from having first strike while giving it to all of your creatures. Nether Trader becomes a recurable, unblockable threat. Selfless Spirit protects your board. Rite of Oblivion triggers Minthara and gets rid of a permanent, and has flashback now that I think about it. Victimize will get you 2 creatures for the price of 1. Path of Exile, Anguished Unmaking, Deadly Relic, and Fracture are removal, but I might need 1 or 2 more. Lapse of Certainty and Teferi's Protection are protection when you need them the most. Enlightened Tutor will look for a win con or a life gain piece depending on what you need at the time. Arcane Signet, Orzhov's Signet, the Talisman of Hierarchy, and Soul Ring act as a bit of ramp, and Fanatical Devotion will trigger and protect Minthara or any creature on your board from a board wipe. And that's about it. I usually end up with a swarm of large flyers that my opponents don't want to block, and the generators themselves often aren't worth the price of the removal. It's pretty fun when it gets going, but it's not entirely resilient though. And a few board wipes can cause problems if Minthara leaves too early without getting many counters. But, like I said earlier, with Dominaria United coming soon and the Phyrexians coming with them, I have no doubt we'll get some great additions to this deck. Let me know what you think so far and what you might have done with Minthara Merciless Soul in the comments below. Like the video if you liked the video, dislike it if you disliked it, and until next time, I'm Space Coconut, and you're welcome.